Welcome. Now, Gate Guardian is a sort of mini-series of cards, a proto-archetype if you will, from all the way back in the DM era. And while it basically saw no meta-relevant success, the Gate Guardians were all big 2-tribute monsters that had no ways to summon themselves out. Well, it did come with okay-ish effects for the time, and the big Gate Guardian boss monster was terrible and almost impossible to summon. And for about 2 decades, this was true. The Gate Guardian pieces were, notable for being an anime, so people recognized them, but no one really thought of them. That is until now, as just recently, Konami has revealed a TCG exclusive series of Gate Guardian support that is actually shockingly pretty strong, as it releases a bunch of sort of ABC-styled contact fusions that give the deck a way to summon actual Gate Guardian boss monsters much easier. And the deck is also pretty synergistic with cards like Tearlaments and Therions, allowing for an interesting little pile deck that lets you get out the traditional Tearlament cards, as well as some big Gate Guardian fusions. Now how about we jump straight into an example duel to give you an idea of what this deck is actually trying to do and how it plays. Now this is a starting hand of Labyrinth Wall Shadow, the new field spell, Tearlaments Celiac, Foolish Burial, Tearlaments Kashtira, and Danger Nessie. To start off with, go ahead and just fire off Foolish Burial. And dump Agito. This is to mill 5 cards. In this case, we mill Polymerization, Double Attack, Unicorn, Destrudo, and Kazijin. Then go ahead and use Wall Shadow, the field spell, to place one of the Gate Guardian pieces onto our field as a spell trap, much like a Crystal Beast. Then go ahead and fire off Nessie's effect. In this case, we hit Celiac. We draw, and trigger Celiac effect. In this case, grabbing a Sheeran. Now you could have instead searched a Rhino Heart here if you wanted to have a more targeted sin, but in this case I wanted to kind of, gamble mill. Either one is probably fine. Then go ahead and use Tearlaments Kashtira's effect, summon itself, banish Unicorn, and mill 3. In this case the 3 mills don't really do anything. Then we go ahead and go for the Dracosack line. As we have 2 level 7s, we can summon 2 level tokens. And because these tokens are level 3, we can make a Cherubini. Using Cherubini's effect, we dump King of the Swamp. Then here I go ahead and trigger Sheeran, discarding Fenrir, and milling some cards. In this case, nothing great except for the Song of the Thunder. And this is why I chose to go for Shiren instead of Rhino Heart, as this means I now have access to the big full contact fusion. Then we go ahead and use Destrudo in the Grave, lowering its level and summoning itself, as we can now make a level 7 Synchro. Just go ahead and make the Post-Errata Ancient Fairy Dragon. Use its effect to destroy the Labyrinth Wall Shadow, gain 1,000 life points, and search primeval planet Perlino. Then use Perlino, and search Tearlaments Kashtira. Then I go ahead and link off into Sprint to go ahead and dump from deck to grave Merrily and fusion summon. Using Merrily and the King of the Swamp we dumped in the grave, we can go ahead and make a Rulukalus. Then banish all 3 pieces to go ahead and make the Gate Guardian's combined fusion monster. So this is basically the final end board. Although one more thing we can go ahead and do is then banish the Wind and Thunder to grab back one of the Gate Guardian pieces, in this case Suijin, as the most useful typing for stuff like the Therions. And that's the end of the combo. So what does this do? Well, we have Rulukalus's effect, then we also have access to the Sprint interruption because we do control an Xyz monster with material. Then with the targeting protection of Gate Guardians combined, and it can float into a Never Gate Guardian from the extra deck after it's destroyed or leaves the field. In this case, we can say float into the Spell Trap negate. As well, we also have a Tearlaments Kashtira in our hand, which we can summon the opponent's turn, to maybe melee Tearlaments for a fusion summon, or maybe one of the Shizu cards to interact with the grave. So it's a pretty solid end board, and the Gate Guardian pieces are actually pretty useful, as combined it keeps us very safe from any huge board wipes, as if they destroy this, we'll at least have at least one fusion monster still in the field. And the targeting protection isn't too bad. And this is a bit of a more high-rolly hand. In this case it's Tearlaments Meta Noise, Suijin, Agido, Perlino, and Unicorn. And of course to start off we go ahead and summon Unicorn while we control the monsters, to then search a Kashtira spell. Go ahead and grab Birth. Then activate Perlino to grab a Sheeran, and this is so we can discard the Agido to start getting a bunch of mills going. We mill 3 off the effect of Sheeran, and then we can go ahead and trigger Agido to mill 5. In this case, we hit quite a few good cards. First, we'll go ahead and activate Hadness effect to fusion summon, using it and a Nessie, the fusion summon into Garura. Then go ahead and use the Shooter's effect to summon itself, paying half our life points, and then making Ancient Fairy Dragon. Using Fairy Dragon, we destroy our field spell, and then search Wall Shadow. Then we can go ahead and overlay into Draco Sack. Use Draco Sack to attach material to summon 2 level 3 tokens, and make Cherubini. Then we can go ahead and use Cherubini's effect, dump King of the Swamp, and use Garura and Cherubini to make a sprint to dump Merly. Off Garura, we can go ahead and draw a card, in this case Polymerization, and we of course make Rukalos. Now from here, we can go ahead and activate Wall Shadow, and place Kazijin onto the field. Then I go ahead and activate Birth, and use Birth's effect to reborn the Unicorn. Then I can go ahead and activate the Double Attack Wind and Thunder effect, bashing itself to search Sanko of the Thunder. So now I have 2 options. I can either go ahead and normal summon the Suijin, and then banish it into Kazijin to make the Spell Trap Negator, or I can go for the big 3 material fusion, which is what I end up doing. So I go ahead and summon Gate Guardians combined, and setting Meta Noise. So what does this end board do? Well, it's certainly a little bit better than the last one. We have the extra deck rip from Unicorn, we still have the Sprint interaction, the Rukalos Negate, and the Gate Guardians combined. As well, we have the Graveyard Interruption of Birth as we do control a Kashtira monster, and we also have access to Tearlaments Meta Noise, which allows us to go ahead and dump H elements from deck to grave to quick effect fusion summon the opponent's turn, using something like a Garura as material for a Jagosapelia to go ahead and negate an opponent's card. So this is a very heavy interaction board, and it's very resilient. Both Rukalos and Gate Guardians combined float into other cards. And Meta Noise make sure we can at least get something else on the field as long as we control Tearlaments monster. Not to mention, on a later turn, we can go ahead and activate something like Double Attack Wind and Thunder effect to recover one of the Gate Guardian pieces, which we can normal summon with Kashtira Birth to at least keep monsters on the board and field, and just keep the train rolling. Now for a quick rundown of the deck list. And to start off with, I will just go ahead and say this is a dumpster fire of a deck list. It's very much obviously not optimal, but I kind of wanted to test every engine I could. That is stuff like the Kashtira, Tearlaments, Therions, and the Gate Guardian pieces all together. If you were to actually try and play this, I would definitely cut out a lot of this stuff. Maybe shave off the Therions, as I didn't constantly find myself going for them, although they can be very nice. Now for the actual Gate Guardian cards, I'll just quickly go over them. The fusions, there's 4 in total, but I'm only running 3 because the water fusion is bad. But the big main fusion is Gate Guardians combined, which requires you to banish each of the 3 pieces from basically anywhere except for your deck. And when your opponent would target a card you control, you can go ahead and negate the effect and destroy that card, and you can use that thrice per turn. So this basically prevents your opponent from targeting anything you control unless you want to get all their cards destroyed. And if it leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can float into another Gate Guardian, either from extra deck or deck, as long as it's a lower level than combined. Then the 2 other fusions I'm playing is Gate Guardian of Wind and Water, and Thunder and Wind. Now Wind and Water is made of Kashtira and Therions, and it's the spell trap negator. And then Thunder and Wind allows you to go ahead and search cards that mention Song of Thunder, Kashtira and Therions. And both of them can go ahead and float into one of their materials, you know, from your banish zone, which is how you summon them because they are summoned by banishing the cards you control, which does include the ones in the spell trap zones or monster field. The other fusions I'm playing are just the sort of standard modern Tearlaments fusions, nothing interesting to say there. I'm playing the post-errata Ancient Fairy Dragon. It's not a dueling book yet, but, you know, it's basically the same card. Then I'm running Barone, which you can sometimes make of Destrudo. It's probably the least important card to play, but it's nice. And I'm running a Dracosac, as well as a Cherubini and a Sprint. As far as change for the extra deck, I'd maybe cut Barone for a Link Monster, maybe in different Xyz, new rank 7, and that's about it. As for the main deck, I'll quickly run over the Labyrinth and Gate Guardian main deck stuff. Heavy Tank can be normal Centified Tributing, and it's level 7, and that's why there's such a level 7, rank 7 focus. Its effect is that you can just place one of the Gate Guardian pieces onto your spell trap zone, and if you control a Labyrinth Wall card, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls. I'm running 3 of this because it's a very nice normal summon, it gets the pieces into rotation, and it has a very nice level in typing. I'm running 1 Shadow Glow of the Labyrinth, which can search a Labyrinth Wall card, and also has a damage step effect, which is neat. But really, the reason why I'm only playing 1 is because this deck has so many different ways to get to the Labyrinth Wall field spell. I'm not too worried about it, because you have stuff like Ancient Fairy Dragon that's so accessible. But it is nice to play 1, not only for the Graveyard effect, which if you mail it, but also as a nice typing and attribute, allowing you to make stuff like Madragon of the Swamp or Dragos Depelia pretty easily. It's a nice card, and I would understand if you run it at 3, but I chose to keep it at 1. Then I am running 3 of the Field Spell, which is a pretty strong card. Its first effect is that monsters cannot attack the turn they're summoned, except level 5 or higher monsters, which is nice for this deck, as pretty much everything is level 5 or higher, except maybe Dracosac. And then during the main phase, once per turn, you can go ahead and place one of the Gate Guardian pieces into your face-up spell trap zone, and at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can destroy a monster opponent controls with less than 1600 attack. So you can harass the sprite player. Then I'm running 3 of Double Attack Wind and Thunder, which is a quick play spell, and if you control a Gate Guardian monster, target a card in the field, destroy it. So it's nice interaction, but it has the useful grave effect to banish it up from the grave, to then add a Gate Guardian piece from Banish Zone or from your deck to your hand. So it's a nice way to recycle the Gate Guardian pieces to keep the fusion summoning going. Then I'm running a bunch of Tearlaments cards. You'll notice I'm only running 1 Reminder Heart, that's because the deck has a ton of normal summons, it doesn't always want to normal summon him. I'm running the Kashtira engine as well to kind of keep consistency and keep easy access to level 7s for the Dracosac line. I'm also running the Therions, as Regulus can be summoned by attaching a Heavy Tank, which is very nice and it's nice Omni-Negate, as well as Reaper Froom, which wants Aquas, and there's plenty of Aquas, there's Suijin and all the Tearlaments. And both of these searchable off of Disc Coliseum, which you can search off of Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect, which is nice. You know, I'm running Destrudo to actually go into Ancient Fairy Dragon if you control level 4. I'm running a couple dangers that kind of keep things going, the whole Shizu package. And for the Tearlaments traps I'm running Celiac and Meta Noise. It's sort of just a standard-ish looking pile of cards, but it is very fun, and I think there's definitely potential here to look into it. Thank you for making this far into the video. If you liked it and want to see more in the future, please feel free to subscribe or leave any feedback you have in the comments section below.